It's Friday 1st of May, and this week we're looking at the iBasso Kunlun. This is the new desktop headphone amplifier from iBasso, which is named after a mountain range in China. Now, the unique thing about the Kunlun is that it features gallium nitride transistors. And gallium nitride is the newer and more efficient transistor technology, which allowed people to go from power chargers that were this sized to power chargers that were this sized. In the case of the Kunlun, gallium nitride means that you can get an amplifier which produces up to 7.4 watts in a relatively small package, and the added bonus is that it doesn't really get warm to the touch, which is very impressive for an amplifier with this kind of power output. Now, in terms of sound, the Kunlun isn't a particularly bright sounding amplifier, so the emphasis here does seem to be on raw, stable power output for a wide variety of earphones and headphones. On that note, you get this very stiff, very damped analog volume pot with the Kunlun. And it's funny because when you use the Kunlun with a headphone, you actually have to travel quite far up the volume pot to get a good listening volume, even at high gain. However, the benefit of this volume pot is that it works very, very well with IEMs. Even with very sensitive IEMs, you can get a very low, very controlled output, and the channel balance between the left and the right is exceptionally good. iBasso has emphasized the very low noise floor and the very low output impedance of this amplifier. And I'm happy to report that even with very sensitive IEMs, the noise floor of the Kunlun is basically imperceptible. That means that the Kunlun is actually uniquely well suited for driving everything from hypersensitive IEMs all the way up to very power-hungry planar magnetics. There are some rough edges to this amplifier, which I think should be noted. Number one, this unit does not ship with any rubber feet. So that is something to think about picking up along with this amplifier, especially if you're going to put it on some sort of easily scratched surface. The other thing about the Kunlun is that the power on LED on the power button is very, very dim. And basically, if you want to confirm that the unit has turned on, you have to listen for the relays clicking, essentially because the power button is so dim, it's essentially useless for determining the status of the unit. All that aside, I do think you get a lot of amplifier for a relatively modest price in a relatively small package, so definitely worth checking out. Pop in, have a listen, let us know what you think. This is Lachlan for Minidisc TV, and we'll catch you next time.